and welcome to the Gentleman's League. We are returning now for week 2, as you did see the exhibition week last week. And of course, with me, the one, the only, the talented, the beautiful, Stel Shampoo is with us today, and he's actually the host today.
Oh, dude, you're too sweet. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It's the Open Qualifiers first week. There are 4 teams invited to TGL, and 2 teams will be added to that pool this week. We'll also have 2 teams added to that pool next week. And we have the first match coming in. Pretty sure you guys are familiar with the Dildozers. And who we got them going up against here, Seeds?
Well, this week we actually have them going up against Inspector Cabot starting off. In the lower bracket, it was actually changed to be JSMS versus Exploding Race, but this morning, due to extenuating circumstances, JSMS had to actually forfeit their match. So we're going into the Dildozers versus Inspector Cabot as the first match, and then the second match will be the winner of that versus JSMS for seeding into regards to who goes into the next round. So
all right.
That's what we're looking at right now. Bans are actually in at the moment, which I don't know if you've had time to read them yet, but we're looking at it right now as... Let's get the right screen up for you, but we're looking at it, and we do actually have the bans coming in as Kraken was initially banned, right? Followed up by Val being banned first. And then the pick in response to that was going to be Slim, which is nice to see that Slim's actually getting picked because we didn't see him much last week. So it's nice to see that he's getting thrown into the mix. But Val, because of how effective she was in the previous week, she's going to be getting banned this week. Next, following that, was actually, I believe...
Sunny.
Yeah, Sunny was banned, and in response to Sunny being banned, Cabot was picked. So we're looking at a damage comp with Slim Cabot, right? So it's nice to see those 2 picked. And following that, the next ban was actually going to be Jack, which means
First time.
Yeah, first time he's been banned, actually. It's crazy.
Yeah. Usually they're banning Griffin. 100% of the time, actually, before TGL today, the ban was Griffin, but they decided to ban Jack this time, and the Hunters picked up Crow.
Yeah. So he's going to be the response to that.
Hyde's up next.
Yeah. And then Hyde was banned. And who did they pick for Assault?
Lenny on deck. Lenny paired with Cabot's damage amp. You get that 4 times multiplier, plus the damage amp online. You're going to be dealing some serious pain to the Goliath, who was the monster picked. The Dildozers are hunters.
That Lennox is going to be a contender with those punches for sure. And then the pick after that was actually Goliath on Monster, which means that they were very direct with what they wanted to ban, which is something that's very interesting that you're seeing that they banned Val, they banned Sunny, and they banned Jack, which are 3 very dominant hunters when you're going against a Goliath, right? You ever played against that on ladder?
Yeah. Sunny and Val in particular, very, very difficult to shake as the Goliath. Val's just going to be flying at you all day, putting those tranks in. And Jack, of course, great at holding the Goliath away. Not only can he stop his traversals, but 2 of his 4 abilities, Charge and Leap Smash, can be completely mitigated using Jack's Repulsor Beam. Flamethrower, to an extent, if you only have 1 point in Flamethrower, then Jack can hold the Goliath away while his teammates back up and don't get burned. So Slim, Cabot, Crow, Lenny going up against the Goliath. Inspector Cabot is rocking the monster right now, and the Dildozers, you guys are all familiar with them, are on the Hunters. Yeah. Slim Cabot's a really interesting team comp, though. Slim Cabot, real high damage output medic and real high damage output support, but no shields. This is truly glass cannoning it right here, but they don't have Laz to fall back on when someone goes down. Usually when we see Cabot or Bucket on the field, the Dildozers are pulling Laz out, and Laz was actually not banned, so they are purposefully going with Slim over Laz because Val was banned instead. For the extra damage, of course, Laz does help out the team and Lenny's AA gun with those marks from his sniper rifle. Laz, very helpful, but they decided to go with Slim instead, who is, I would say, the highest damage medic in the game. Also very helpful with those spore clouds. Real annoying to Goliaths who have to be on the ground standing inside of those things and won't be able to sniff around and spot the hunters. We're going to start in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. If you're unfamiliar with the rules of TGL, let me break them down for you. First off, we have a ban for the monster. So any monster in the game, I don't believe Gorgon is available in TGL, so we ban a monster to start things off in TGL. And then the hunters call all 4 hunter classes, 1 at a time. Trapper, Assault, Medic, and Support. After you call one class in particular, let's say Trapper, for an example, then the monster gets to ban, or the opposite team gets to ban one of the trappers. Usually it's Griffin. We've seen 100% ban rate on Griffin, but this time they picked Jack. And then, of course, after a hunter is banned, then it's picked. So, for example, it would be this time around Kraken banned, and then Medic called, Val banned, Slim picked. Repeat that process for all the hunters, and then last up, we pick the monster. The monster gets to see the hunter's team comp, what they're going to be going up against, and they get to pick from the remaining monsters who is going to be taken into the fight.
So just before we get started, guys, just want to give you guys a quick setup of how the TGL works. This is actually a community-funded tournament, so if you have interest in it and want to help out, help make sure that this is possible for the teams, you can actually see on this screen, you can see all the names of everyone that has donated and been a part of it. If you reach the certain Patreon goal, your name gets put on this screen. We give you a big shout-out on the screen, and we give you guys a whole name read at the end. This is the people that made this possible. We have a recent addition, Adrian Soul, along with Chris Ashton, Mr. Nusprig, Nikki Violet, of course, Marius Agrilopoulos, Cerberus Soul, Nikki Pard, Jesse Barnett, Daniel Silver, Negro Manus, Bugsy, Source TV, Super Bad Juju, Whitehawk, and the Maniac Squirrel or Gentleman Squirrel. Either one.
Brandon.
Yes.
Who the Gentleman's League is actually named after. Thanks to all of them for donating. We appreciate you guys. This is the first Evolve community-funded tournament, and it's been going real well. Prize pool is almost $2,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost there. It's just short of it right now, so a little bit more effort, and we can get there, guys. Making sure that we get more things for it, and we can make things more pretty the more money we got, and also the teams get more money, right? So the people who are playing, they get more prizes and other things to go in. And also, it helps make sure that we can do this in the future and get future the Gentlemen's Leagues going and help building this up over time. But yeah, so we are getting ready to go into the game now. Just letting the teams know that we're ready.
Talks behind the scenes have suggested that the Gentlemen's League could expand into other platforms depending on how popular the Gentlemen's League Season 2 is. So everyone who has been supporting, we really appreciate it. Don't forget, you can also follow the Gentlemen's League on Twitter at EvolveTGL to get updates on the matches. This is the first official week of qualifiers. Like I said earlier, we'll have 1 week of qualifiers this week, and next week we'll have the second week of qualifiers. Together, we will have 2 teams that go in to the actual tournaments. So these are the qualifiers right now. We're playing for seeding. Spots number 5 and 6 are up for grabs this week, and 7 and 8 will be next week before the tournament round of 8 starts. And don't forget, we're also taking a week off for Thanksgiving, I believe. But other than that,
Americans still have your Thanksgiving to go, don't you?
Yeah, that's on the 26th, November 26th.
Okay.
So we have TGL happening every Saturday except the Saturday of Thanksgiving. That hasn't happened yet.
But yeah, we're going into the game right now. Picks are done. We're going to see them just confirmed on screen in a minute. But just so you guys can see who's playing right now, we do have the Dildozers versus Inspector Cabot, which is a new rising team coming through and doing everything they can to get as much done as possible. They're really doing well in the Go for Evolve Sunday Cups. They're coming along quite exceptionally.
Yeah, I've actually seen them. I'm going to throw out a number here. In the past, at least 2, I think 3 Go for Evolve Cups, Inspector Cabot. The Dildozers, of course, very well-known team. They've been around for quite a while, and I would argue to say that their emblem and team name is rivaled by no one. Emblem and team name on point, the Dildozers. Hopping in here on the Hunters versus the monster here of Inspector Cabot. We actually have NDG's Fresh.
Whoa, I didn't even notice that the Fresh is actually taking the monster slot in this game.
I didn't notice that either.
I've been in the lobby. But yeah, no, that's crazy. I remember when, like, Dildozers, though, when they were first making their name, they were like, yeah, we're going to make it the Dildozers. And I remember Pogos being like, no, that's not going to be our name. We're not making it our name. And then sure enough, it stuck, right? It's crazy how those things work out sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And whoever their graphic designer was for that particular team logo is amazing. Let's rock it, ladies and gentlemen. The first map in the Gentlemen's League is always Orbital Drill. Lots and lots of discussion and talks behind the scenes have indicated that most players in the TGL and people who were staffed on the TGL agree that Orbital Drill is the most fair map in the game to start things off. We want to start things off on a fair foot here in the series, and Orbital Drill is going to be that map that we're going to start things off with in every single round of TGL, just so that no team gains momentum via an unfair, for lack of a better term, map win. MedLab, for example, is usually a monster loss, while Fusion Plant's a little more monster favored. But here we go. We are on the first match of the Open Qualifiers, week number 1. This is the Dildozers versus Inspector Cabot. And we have Inspector Cabot's monster here on Orbital Drill. Starting off on the Goliath, Dylan Frey on the Lenny. Of course, Lenny, as we saw last week, can absolutely delete a monster's health without anyone ever noticing because of the fact that those 4 stacks are devastating. Gypsy Danger is rocking Cabot, fellow streamer Gypsy Danger. Going to be putting that damage amp on the monster, especially when Dylan Frey's got the 4 stack. Going to be doing a ton of damage. Slim, I would say one of the, if not the highest damage medics in the game with that shotgun. And the CCs from the Spore Clouds are able to annoy the Goliath away from teammates. And Puggums is rocking Crow. Not entirely sure why he picked Crow, actually. Do you have any idea, Seeds?
Well, Crow has very good, going through armor, and that's like his primary benefit. However, a stasis gun on a monster that's very mobile in a dome is highly effective, because then you just put it on and you're back on damage. You don't need to worry about it. As long as you're accurate with the stasis gun, you don't miss. That's the key factor of Crow. If you don't miss, it's just as good as an Abe stasis grenade. If you do miss one shot, though, and he gets that little bit of time where he has full mobility, that's when you're going to have problems. So you have to make sure that if you're playing Crow, that you're staying on top of it, which I'm sure is what we're going to see from Puggums here, because he plays a lot of Crow, and it's probably the hunter that he's most familiar with recently. As much as DDs do have their variety picks, I think this is one of their little staples.
Yeah, I was actually wondering why they didn't pick Jack, and I just remembered 2 seconds ago, oh, Jack was banned because this is TGL. Puggums playing Crow instead. Of course, Jack is my personal favorite trapper against the monster. We do have a stage 1 confrontation right here, very, very quickly deleting almost half of his armor. Looks like Inspector Cabot's monster is in a little bit of trouble. We're going to need some more shots on him, though. He's mitigating pretty well and hasn't taken damage for the past couple seconds. We're going to need Dylan Frey to smash right onto his face, and he actually does make contact. I'm not sure if that was damage amp, but the leap smash coming in hot, and the damage amp is going out. We do have Lenny going in for the stabs. Almost tore his armor completely down, but we have a nice little rock for our Goliath to kite around right here, trying to break line of sight from Cabot's damage amp and trying to stop the AA gun from going in his back. Looks like Dylan Frey has switched to his long-range weapon, thus being able to keep up with the monster, even though he is trying to stay very, very far away from them. Real high damage output team here, starting to tear through his armor despite the fact that he's mitigating pretty well. He has quite a few loops to work with and some verticality. Looks like he's climbing up on these rocks right here.
And he's doing everything he can to break through this and keep himself alive. It is critical that this is a shotgun lineup, and what I mean is that they need to be dealing lots of damage stage 1, stage 2, in order to be really effective against the stage 3. They need to get him extremely low, probably down to 2 bars of like what his current health before he gets to stage 3, which means that he'll have about 6 of those smaller bars or less. So that's going to be a key factor when we get to those stage 3 fights. At this point, like, he's just on pure mitigation, and he knows this. That's why he didn't engage there, which is a great choice. Right now, Dome is on cooldown, which is why we're also seeing the Evolve. And while we're waiting to find out what skills he chose for the Evolve, we're looking at the stage 1. He went 1 point Leaf Smash, 1 point Fire Breath, 1 point Charge, which is a high traversal build with a little bit of Flame Breath for farming. So it's nice to see that, and he is choosing the finish Leap and getting an extra point of Flame.
That's generally what we see from Stage 1 Goliaths. Trying to get away from the Hunters, using those Leaf Smashes and Charges, not for damage, but for mitigation purposes.
Yeah.
On the run right here, did tear off almost all of his armor right there off of the stage. Monsters are getting 20% more armor when they are done staging. And looks like our monster here almost lost all of it. Fresh on the move. Dome is off cooldown. Puggums can get the stasis in on him to slow him down from long range. That's one of the strengths of Crow. And of course, once that armor is fully charged, if it gets to a stage 3 situation, like you said, Seeds, these guys are pretty good in the early game. Really need to whittle them down in stage 1 and stage 2, as all Hunters. But especially with this team, with Slim Cabot, they really, even more so than other Hunter comps, need to whittle them down at stage 1 and stage 2. If it truly comes to that, where the Goliath has full armor and a bar of health left, then Puggums can shoot directly through that and finish him off. Looks like they do know where he is, though. What do we got here on the perk, Seeds?
On perks, we have movement speed on Monster, which is great for being able to traverse a map, especially Orbital Drill, because of its great separation, like the ridges and whatnot. Force a team to separate, split into groups of 2, if not, force them to take the longer route. We have actually jump height being used on Slim to make him a lot more evasive when he's going after and not making sure he's not going to get hit. So if he wants to dodge a rock, he can just go straight up in the air when the rock's being thrown, and he'll be able to dodge it, which is interesting to see that jump height getting picked.